Have you ever wondered how to make your contact form do more than just collect data? Imagine turning it into a fully functional form that sends emails to your admin and the user in real time. That's exactly what we're building today. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to set up a Node.js backend, validate form data, and use NodeMailer to send emails. By the end, your contact form will be professional and ready for production. Here's what the final result will look like. You'll be able to handle submissions, send admin notifications, and send acknowledgement emails to the user quickly and seamlessly.
Welcome back to Devly Code. If you're new here, I create web development tutorials to help you sharpen your skills step by step. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with my latest videos. Before we dive into the code, if you haven't watched part 6 of this series, where we built the responsive contact form with HTML and CSS, make sure to check it out first. You'll need the HTML form structure to follow along with this video. So, go ahead and watch part 6 and then come back to this one. I'll wait. Alright, let's get started with the backend setup and turn your contact form into a powerhouse. We'll use Node.js with Express, and to send emails, we'll use NodeMailer. Make sure you already have Node.js installed and an editor like VS Code ready to go. Start by opening your terminal and running the following commands to initialize a new Node.js project and install the required packages. In your terminal, write npm init-y. Then npm install Express body parser cores nodemailer.env. Here, Express is our web framework. Body parser is for parsing JSON data. Cores will handle cross-origin issues, and NodeMailer is for sending emails. Finally, .env will help us securely manage environment variables like our email credentials. Now let's create the file where all our backend code will live. Create a file called server.js. These are the necessary imports to set up our server. Let me break it down. Require Express. Brings an Express to create our API. Require body parser allows us to parse JSON data sent from the frontend. Require cores enables cross-origin requests. Require NodeMailer provides functionality for sending emails. Require.env lets us securely store credentials in a .env file. Here, we initialize our Express app and set up some basic middleware. Const app equals Express creates an instance of an Express app to handle requests. Const post equals 5000 or processed. env.port sets the server to run on port 5000 or any port defined in the .env file. App.use cores enables cores so the frontend can communicate with the backend. App.useBodyParser.json parses JSON data sent in requests. Next, let's configure NodeMailer so we can send emails. This part sets up the email transport using NodeMailer. Notice the process.env.email user and process.env.email pass. These values will come from your .env file to keep your credentials secure. I'll show you how to create this file. To secure your email credentials, create a .env file in the root of your project and add the following variables. Replace email with your email and password with the app-specific password you generate from your email provider. This prevents hard-coding sensitive information. Let's see how we will generate app-specific password from Gmail. First, go to your Google account. Then click on Security tab. An app password is a 16-digit passcode that gives a less secure app or device permission to access your Google account. App passwords can only be used with accounts that have two-step verification turned on. So make sure you have enabled two-step verification. Then search for app password. Then give any name in the app name field. Then click on Create. You will see 16-digit passcode. Now copy that code and paste in .env file. That's it. Now, let's handle form submissions by creating an endpoint in our server. This will receive data from the frontend and trigger the email functionality. App.post/API/contact creates a post route to handle form submissions. Here,
we extract the data sent from the Frontend form using req.body. Then we validate the fields. If any are missing, we send back a 400 error with a helpful message. Now comes the fun part, sending emails. We'll send 2 emails, one to ourselves with the user's details and another to the user as a confirmation. Let's start by preparing the email content. These are basic HTML templates for the emails. The first is for the admin, and the second is for the user. Feel free to style them as you like. We first define the email options for the admin and the user. Then we use transporter.sendMail to send each email. Finally, we send the emails using NodeMailer. First, the admin receives the contact form details. Then, the user gets a thank you email. This section is straightforward. The emails are sent one after the other. If any errors occur, we log them and send a response back to the client. Finally, we start the Express server by listening on a specific port. The app.listen method starts the server and logs a message with the URL where it's running. This is crucial to ensure your server is live and ready to handle requests. Before running the server, let's first update the package.json file. Open it and change the default index.js to server.js to match our file name. Now in your terminal, run command node server.js to run the server. And that's it. Now our backend server is running. Let's connect it to our frontend. Alright, let's dive into the frontend logic for submitting the form. We'll write a simple JavaScript file to handle form submissions and send the data to our backend. This script will be linked to the form we created earlier in the video. First, we grab the submit button element using query selector and assign it to the submit btn variable. This will allow us to listen for when the user clicks the button to submit the form. Now, we add a click event listener to the submit button. Inside this function, we prevent the default action using e.preventDefault, which prevents the form from submitting in the traditional way. We want to handle the submission with JavaScript. Next, we need to grab all the input fields from the form. Here, we're selecting each input element by their respective IDs and assigning them to variables. These will help us extract the values the user enters in the form. Now, let's get the values the user enters and trim any unnecessary spaces from them. We get the value from each input field and use the trim method to remove any extra spaces before or after the text. Now let's do some basic validation to make sure all fields are filled out. We check if any of the fields are empty. If they are, we alert the user to fill out all the fields and exit the function using return to prevent further action. Once the form is validated, we create an object to hold all the form data. We then create an object form data that contains all the values the user has entered. Now, let's set the API URL where we will send the data. Here, we define the API URL that points to our backend endpoint where we'll be sending the data using a POST request. Next, let's use fetch to send this form data to the backend. We use the fetch function to send the data to our backend using a POST request. We set the content type to application/JSON because we're sending JSON data. The body contains the form data, which we convert into a JSON string. If the request is successful, we show an alert and reset the form fields. If the response is successful, we display a success message and clear the form fields. If there's an error, we alert the user with the error message returned from the backend. Finally, if an error happens while sending the request, we catch the error and display an alert with the error message. Now let's try to send message and see if it's working or not. And that's it. We've now connected our contact form to the backend, which handles the form submission and sends out the emails. Make sure to test everything by submitting the form
and you should receive the emails as expected. Thanks for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you in the next one.